The X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell is largely an opinion talk show. All opinions, comments, or statements of fact expressed by Rob McConnell's guests are strictly their own and are not to be construed as those of the X-Zone Radio Show or endorsed in any manner by Rob McConnell, Relmar McConnell Media Company, the X-Zone Broadcast Network, its affiliated networks, stations, employees, or advertisers.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X-Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
And good evening, one and all. This is the X-Zone. I am Rob McConnell, and we're coming to you from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, on the Talkstar Radio Network, X-Zone Broadcast Network, Mutual Broadcast Network, Simul Radio, and Simul TV, and iHeartRadio. If you'd like to send me an email, xzone at xzoneradiotv.com, on all social media sites, X-Zone Radio TV. And if you'd like to check out the broadcast schedule that we have available for all our programming on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, which are brought to you with our compliments, visit www.xzbn.net. My first guest tonight is Tim Scullion, and he is the author of Haunted Historic Colonial Williamsburg, Virginia, with Breakthrough Ghost Photography. Is a first in the world of the paranormal researcher. Tim Scullion has completed a 2-year photographic study of the Williamsburg out of over 10,000 photographs. Only the very best were chosen, 230 to be exact, document ghosts and apparitions of all sizes, shapes, and colors. He has unlocked techniques to consistently photograph residents of the other side and has included historical background as well as paranormal experiences and personal insights to accompany each house and building in the world's largest living museum. Joining me now is Tim Scullion. And Tim, welcome to the X-Zone.
Thank you so much. Glad to be here, Rob.
Hey, congratulations on your new book.
I'm anxiously awaiting the publication because it's got some brand new things in it. They're very different from the first book that I wrote, and I'm very excited to have it out.
Tim, for the listeners who may not know you, tell us a little bit about yourself and how it is that you ended up, taking up photography with the ghosts.
Well, that was quite by accident because I had worked as a public school teacher for about 12 years, and right. I got out of that, and I was giving historical tours here in Colonial Williamsburg, and the company that I worked for asked me if I would like to give ghost tours, and I said, sure, why not? So they handed me a script. I memorized the script, and I started taking groups of about 25 people out through Colonial Williamsburg and telling them the ghost stories. So what I would see every once in a while is somebody getting on their cell phone. And by the way, this was in 2011 when cell phone cameras were not that good.
No, that's right.
I would see them getting paranormal photos, and it got me thinking because I was a skeptic and I just knew I had to change. So what I decided to do was take my professional equipment and go down to Colonial Williamsburg to these very same places that I had seen people get something paranormal and try for myself to see if I could get something better on better equipment. And so that started my 2-year odyssey for that first book. And by the way, 230 photographs out of 10,000, that shows you how many that were not any good. And so it was a learning process. It was trial and error. I'm not psychic in any way, and no, I don't see the ghosts in the photo when I'm taking the photograph.
So is the photograph? Is it like an EVP? Is the photograph like an EVP? You only see the photo, the ghost after the photo has been taken. When you review the photos, like EVPs are audible after the recording is done.
Exactly. Now, okay. Well, you know the size of a review screen on any type of camera. It's quite small.
Yeah.
And so what I have to do is I have to get the photograph home.
Mm-hmm.
Download it to my computer, and then I have to zoom in on the places that I think I may have something. Sometimes I have to turn up the contrast and or the light in order to brighten up the photograph so that I can see if I got anything paranormal. And, the chances, as you could see by the statistics, are about 1 in 50 that I would get something.
Right. Is this in the realm of ITC?
I'm not sure what you're referring to.
Okay. This is like white noise on a TV screen when sometimes figures appear.
Okay. I don't know if I would call it the realm of ITC, but what I do know is that from my observation and from the many photographs that I've taken is that spirits, ghosts, whatever you want to call them, they're incredibly fast. And what that means is that I could take 50 photos of one place and have the spirit show up in only one of them.
My goodness. How do you explain that? You're a teacher, you're a photographer, you must have some theory.
Well, I've adapted a theory of physicist Janusz Lewinsky.
Right.
And what he said was that he made the hypothesis that ghosts, spirits, they are nothing more than an electromagnetic consciousness. And he said, being that, and this is according to the Einstein physics that he studied, he said that they would live outside the parameters of both time and space, which would mean that time would mean nothing to them and space would mean nothing, so that they could essentially pass through solid objects and they could live on forever. And he based this on two scientific facts, which I thought were interesting. One is that all living creatures, not just humans, but all living creatures give off photons of light. We have a standing rate of photon emission. And the second thing that was a fact that he quoted is that all living things, when they die, they have what they call a death flash, in which there is an escape of electromagnetic radiation from the body, and it can be up to 1,000 times greater than your standing rate of photon emission. So that sounded like something that would work in my mind, because starting out as a skeptic, I was looking for somewhat of a rational explanation for what I was photographing. And getting back to what we just spoke about a second ago about the speed of these ghosts, just think they have no limitations as far as speed. As far as I could conjecture, they could travel at the speed of light, being that they are electromagnetic radiation.
So would we be able to say that the photo emission at the time of death is actually the soul leaving the body?
I would conjecture that. It sounds like a reasonable hypothesis.
Yeah. Very interesting.
Go ahead.
No, sir, I was listening.
So the fact that there is a soul, that this electromagnetic radiation leaves the body,
right?
It's able to exist on its own. And something that's made me wonder is whether this entity, this being, is able to recreate itself as a ghost, because I think it's no longer a human body, but it's able to recreate,
right,
in some cases, an apparition, or let's call it a hologram. That would make more sense.
Right.
a holographic recreation of themselves. And I have to wonder is sometimes if this is not a learned process, because otherwise, wouldn't you think that all the ghosts would be doing this? They would all be trying to appear to, say, people they know, their former relatives, friends.
Sure, and that begs to ask the question, why don't they?
Which goes back to possibly it's a learned process, and some of them haven't learned how to do it.
Where would they learn how to do it?
I don't know. You see, all this is quite fascinating to me. Let me give you an example of something that I came across.
Okay.
At my alma mater, William and Mary, there's a story that was written up in the school newspaper about a haunting in one of the halls. And the haunting is about a former student that committed suicide before finals because she was so distraught about passing her finals.
Yeah.
Now, what they say is occurring in the hall, this is called Tucker Hall, is that in this case, 2 students were making a film on a computer in that same building, and evidently the ghost was able to learn how to operate the programs, how to alter the programs, how to bring in photographs from the internet and randomly place them on a movie that they had made. And that stunned me, that a ghost that supposedly died in 1980. Go ahead.
All right, we've got to take our first break. Please stand by. Tim Scullion is our special guest this hour, Exonation. And Tim and I will be back to talk more about his new book. Sounds exciting. It's entitled Haunted Historic Colonial Williamsburg, Virginia with Breakthrough Ghost Photography. And his website is www.facebook.com/Tim Scullion author /. And we'll be back on the other side of this break as we continue here in the X Zone.